Stephanie Hughes is a reporter at Bloomberg covering stocks and Canadian business news. That includes the Hollywood strikes, and we're grateful that she's made time to join us here on this episode of the show. Did your weekend include a trip to the theater to see Barbie? Were you one of the millions that made it out to check out the new movie?
You know what? No, not this weekend. I am deeply interested in watching Barbie and Oppenheimer, but no, I was actually quite boring this weekend. I was just a couch potato playing video games, but maybe next weekend.
Yeah, well, hey, everybody needs some downtime, right? What do you make of all the buzz around Barbie right now?
I think it's really interesting. This has been kind of a bright spot after the news of the actors' strike, and I can't remember the last time somebody or everybody's been this excited over a double feature. And I think it's a much needed win for a lot of movie theater operators, just because some of the blockbusters that they were hoping and betting on, like Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones, haven't quite panned out and gotten enough butts and seats. So this seems like it's been a so far so good moment for movie theater operators. We saw that in some of the share prices, and we'll see they can keep the momentum going.
Yeah, you've written about this in particular, what you describe as the Barbenheimer bump for movie stocks. You and your colleagues, people can read it at Bloomberg.com. But this Hollywood strike has kind of clouded that weekend. There's really two storylines, aren't there, right? The big summer blockbusters that are out and the enthusiasm around them. And then at the same time, thousands upon thousands of people, quite frankly, and put plainly, the lower earners when it comes to Hollywood. We're not talking about the Dwayne Johnsons and the Margot Robbies. These two storylines that are equally, I think, relevant right now when you're evaluating the health of Hollywood.
100%. Yeah. And just to catch the viewers up to speed, both Hollywood actors and writers are on strike at the same time, a dual strike. This has happened, this hasn't happened since 1960 when Ronald Reagan was the president of the Screen Actors Guild. So Writers Guild of America began protesting in early May over residuals from streaming services, arguing that the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers share of these residuals cut much of the writer's average income in recent years. Actors are also protesting over payment, and they're also citing concerns around the use of AI to replicate their voices and their likeness. So really interesting. Definitely this dual strike has far-reaching impacts from television and film studios, just seeing these production halts, these theater operators that are potentially seeing a hole in their 2024 lineup. And then, like you mentioned, some smaller production outfits, especially in Vancouver and Toronto, that are now seeing those production halts, and they are very dependent on U.S. production.
Yeah, let's talk about the Canadian implications. Obviously, if production shuts down stateside, the impact felt up north, to state the obvious, is hugely significant.
Of course, yeah. So Vancouver and Toronto, those are two major film hubs. Montreal also as well. I've only heard anecdotally some of the effects there, but it's a story that I'm definitely keeping an eye on just to see how it affects Canadian companies and how it affects industries that employ a lot of people. And I've heard from a few friends in the industry that it's effectively a shutdown situation for a lot of them. So it's really unfortunate. And a lot of this hinges on both sides of the border for entertainment companies. A lot of it hinges on just how long these strikes take place. So a lot of analysts say, depending on if it goes on for a lot longer, spanning over a few months, this could have some impacts on production schedules and might actually prompt some companies to kind of shift around their scheduling and try to fill out that gap that they might be anticipating next year.
Did you see this story? It was just being reported this morning that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has donated a 7-figure sum to SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, basically, as the Hollywood strike continues. They're saying it's a record donation. They're saying it's going to help 7,000 to 10,000 of those that are currently on the picket line, which is really remarkable to see. These are the types of things that grab people's attention, right? Pretty contentious language. It was leaked that I can't remember the source of the comment. Maybe you will. I'm putting you on the spot, but who was it? One of the Hollywood execs that basically said, we're going to hold out. We're going to wait until these people, these workers start losing their apartments, start losing their homes. We've seen some pretty prominent actors fire back with strongly worded comments about different ways someone can lose their home, essentially threatening arson. That's the way I read into it anyway. I mean, this has really, really turned into a contentious situation, I guess, because you're talking about essentially, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars up in the mix.
100%. And I heard those similar murmurs, and it is encouraging to see just these heavyweights in the film industry back some of these people who really need a voice right now, are campaigning to get some fair pay there. And this shutdown comes at a time when a lot of these theater companies and movie studios were just finding their footing again after the pandemic shut down a lot of productions. So here in Canada, Cineplex just managed to get about 98% of its box office revenues it generated in 2019. So and another part of the actor strike is that it not only halts production, but there's also that marketing aspect of it where these actors go on press junkets to promote the movie. So there's going to be interruptions on that front as well.
Yeah, no kidding. That's interesting to hear that from you. If people are just tuning in on Mixler, live streaming audio app presented by California Closets, we're talking to Bloomberg reporter Stephanie Hughes. 98% Cineplex had achieved of 2019 numbers. So in other words, pre-COVID numbers. That's pretty solid. I mean, considering a lot of people had wondered even, culturally, I mean, the sort of the health impacts, the mental health impacts, a lot of people still probably not yet fully back into their routine and some routines that have been interrupted. Maybe people haven't gotten back into them, whether or not there were health concerns. To know that a theater or a big company like that was back at almost 98, let's call it 100% of revenues pre-COVID, that had to have been a bright spot with sort of, I think probably, I would imagine if I was a Cineplex executive, I'd be feeling pretty good about that. What are stocks looking at right now? People can check out Bloomberg.com. You've laid it out well, but generally speaking, and we can put it up on the screen right now, is this hurt being felt across the board?
Well, from what I remember, and I didn't actually get a chance to check out the stocks this morning, but they did get some lift, especially on the Monday morning trading session right after Barbenheimer. For Cineplex, analysts from the big banks there said that this was a good news situation, but it also came with that little asterisk about the actor strike and where will this leave Cineplex down the line. So It was encouraging news as far as analysts were concerned, but there's still that storm cloud hanging over. Like, we have to see, there's that uncertainty around the actor-writer strike, and will this be something of a short-lived celebration?
Yeah.